Good morning. I am Professor P.S. Sridhar of Marine Engineering Department of Ahmedabad University. Nice to see you in the class. Now, today we're going to discuss about the deck machinery on the ship. Deck machinery are provided on the ship for the safe operation of the ship. Therefore, there are various machineries. Mooring in and mooring out of ports safely is accomplished with that. Carrying out cargo loading and discharging safely. Safe embarkation and disembarkation of passengers and ship's crew. Launch and retrieve ship's life-saving appliances like lifeboat, life rafts, etc. And lifting up ship's spares, stores, provisions from the shore. So all these kind of activities need to be accomplished by the deck machinery. And the deck machinery can be broadly divided into anchor handling, mooring, cargo handling, and lifeboat gear. This anchor handling consists of windlass and capstan, and mooring winches are consisting of the winches and capstans. And cargo handling, we have the winches and the cranes, and the lifeboat gears include the davits and winches. Now, the forms of power generally used are steam, electrical, hydraulic, and pneumatic for the gangway motors and small lifts. Steam was widely used on tankers because it doesn't involve any risk of fire or explosion. But the disadvantages with the steam was that we need to use lengthy pipes, and the maintenance of the steam lines is another additional burden, and the fluctuations in the steam load again affect the performance of the steam machinery. Electric motors can be used on general cargo ships and not on tankers, because a single spark on a tanker deck could be causing a disastrous result. Therefore, we cannot use electric motors on the tankers on the deck. While electric motors were used in general cargo ships, the early installations we were using DC, but now AC is now found to be better, and it's being very prevalently used. Power wastage was more and higher cost, and not maintaining the efficiency during continuous overload are some of the problems faced in the electric drives. Pneumatic operated gangway motors are used in most ships because a leakage of the system of pneumatic air is not going to be very detrimental, except perhaps only the compressor has to run a bit longer. Okay. Hydraulic systems are used on the tankers and cycle ships. The essential components of the hydraulic circuits are hydraulic fluid held in a reservoir or a storage tank, a pump to force the liquid through the system, and a motor or a cylinder actuator. Now, valves play an important part as they control the liquid flow and pressure. Three basic different circuits are employing either low, medium, or high pressure oil supply. The open loop circuit and the closed loop circuit are the two functions. And in the open loop, from the tank to the pump to the control valve to the hydraulic motor, and exhaust valve returns to the tank. In neutral conditions, the oil bypasses the hydraulic motor. The closed loop functions as oil from the tank through the pump, control valve, hydraulic motor, and the exhaust oil returns to the pump. This pump is the variable delivery pump with maximum flexibility in oil supply to the equipment. Now, hydraulic systems used widely on board. They are grouped into three basic setups. One is the constant flow group. For a constant pump flow, it's possible to vary the flow to a load by varying the outlet from the load. The major components are the fixed delivery pump, unloading valve, and accumulator. The accumulator consists of a steel pressure vessel within which a rubber bag. The space between the bag and the steel wall is fitted with nitrogen at set pressure. When the constant delivery pump is started, oil is supplied to the accumulator, inflating the bag with oil against the nitrogen pressure. That's about the constant system. And in the constant pressure, we use one or more variable delivery pumps which supply oil are nearly constant pressure. That's why it's called as a constant pressure system, to either a system of multiple loads or a single load such as hydraulic elevator hoist. When the pumping capacity exceeds load requirements, the system pressure increases above a set value, at which point the pressure compensator acts to take the pump off stroke. A relief valve is fitted in case of malfunction of the compensator. The constant pressure fluid flow to the load may be controlled by a variety of methods, one of which is a simple 3-position valve as shown in the diagram. This system consists of an installation containing several high demand units such as deck winch hydraulic. Demand system, again, it's a closed loop system particularly adapted to meet the precise demand of varying loads such as steering gear or automatic weapons handling equipment. The variable and reversible delivery pump does not take suction from a sump tank as the loop of oil is maintained between the main pump and the load. The closed loop eliminates the pressure drop which would exist if the load control was achieved by a servo valve located in the main hydraulic piping. A servo pump and replenishing pump are driven off the same shaft as the main pump, providing actuating fluid to stroke the main pump and to provide the makeup fluid to the closed loop respectively. Demand system. The control of the main pump is accomplished by command and feedback signals. The command and the feedback signals may be composed of a combination of mechanical, electrical or hydraulic devices. This system is able to deliver a reasonable, precise flow of oil which makes it suitable for equipment where finite speed control is very essential. An example other than those given above could be an anchor handling windlass. Anchor windlass. Windlass is another anchor handling device wherein a single prime mover is used for warping and winching duties. The rotating unit consists of a cable lifter with shaped snugs to grip the anchor cable, mooring drum for paying out or let go of mooring wires, and warp end for warping duties. Each of these units may be separately engaged or disengaged by means of a dog clutch, although the warp end is often driven in association with the mooring drum. A spark gear assembly transmits the motor drive to the shaft where the various dog clutches enable power takeoff. Separate handbrakes are fitted to hold the cable lifter and the mooring drum when the power is switched off, as shown in the diagram. Okay, this is a hand sketch of a windlass arrangement. You can see how a cable stopper is used to stop the chain, and these are the various gears working in tandem. And warping drum speed is, the free speed is about 45 meters per minute, and the on load it is about 15 meters per minute. Here are some of the figures of the deck machinery for you to visually see how the deck machinery is arranged on the ships. Anchor handling. The efficient working of the anchor windlass is essential to the safety of the ship. An anchor windlass can expect to fulfill the following. The windlass cable lifter brakes must be capable to control the running anchor uncabled when the cable lifter is disconnected from the gearing when letting go. Average cable speed vary between 5 to 7 meters per second during this operation. The windlass will be able to have a certain weight of a cable at a specified speed. This full load duty of the windlass varies, maybe as high as about 70 tons. 20 to 40 tons are not unusual. Generally, the load is between 4 to 6 times the weight of an anchor. The speed of haul is about 9 meters per minute up to 15 meters per minute. The braking effort obtained at the cable lifter must be equal to 40% of the braking strength of the cable. All anchor handling equipment mostly incorporate warp ends for mooring purposes and light line speeds between 0.75 meters per minute to 1 meter per minute. Winches with various arrangements of barrels were used for mooring equipment used on board the ships. The mooring winch is shown in the figure where the various parts can easily be identified. The winch barrel or drum is used for hauling in or letting go, letting out the wires or ropes which will fasten the ship to the shore. The warp end is used when moving the ship or using ropes or wires fastened to bollards ashore, warp round the end of the winch. The motor drive is passed through a spur gear transmission, a clutch, and thus to the drum and the warp end. A substantial frame supports the assembly, and the band brake is used to hold the drum when required. The control arrangements for the drive motor permits forward or reverse rotation together with selection of during operation. So this is the hand sketch, the electric winch. As you can see, the hand sketch of the electric winch. The next equipment is about capstan. The capstan is used primarily for warping. The act of changing the vessel's position with respect to a warp or pier or other ship by manipulation of common line attached between the subjects, attached to both objects. A modern capstan suitable for continuous hauling is shown in the figure. In the arrangement, the electric motor is mounted below the deck to avoid problems with the sealing against the saltwater environment. Again, the motor below the deck area around the capstan is clear and ship-shape. There are both electric and hydraulic drives available for the capstan. Now we come to the cargo handling or revenue earning equipments. They mainly consist of the heavy deck rigs, the derricks which handle the cargo loading and unloading operations. Basic operations is to load the cargo from the shore to the ship or discharge from ship to shore. Loading and discharging of cargo were carried out by heavy derricks or by conventional methods. Cargo handling equipment should be capable to perform hoisting, lowering, luffing, and slewing operation. In case of derrick crane, a boom should be handled to move up and down. The boom shall be slewed or swung in transverse direction. The load should be hoisted or lowered as need may be. Hydraulic deck crane pictures are shown for better understanding. Present day ships carry deck hydraulic cranes which are simpler to handle and maintain. These are some of the different types of deck hydraulic cranes which are now prevalent on most of the cargo ships around the world. Now we come to the life-saving appliances handling equipment. We have the gravity divot for lifeboat. As you can see, when the lifeboat needs to be swung out, lowered, allow people to board, and then lowered or hoisted. All the duties and the housing of the lifeboat is on the gravity divot cradle. Centrifugal brake for the lifeboat. Lowering of the boat is done by gravity. When the handbrake is slowly released, we take advantage of the gravity to lower the boat with its weight. If the operator loses control of the boat during lowering, the centrifugal brake comes into action. The centrifugal brake limits the rate of lowering. Brake shoes of calculated weight acting on the inner surface of the stationary drum are thrown out by centrifugal effect against the retaining spring. The lowering speed is normally not more than 36 meters per minute. So, we have come to the end of the presentation. So far, we have seen about the various deck machineries which are commonly used and very widely used. And we also saw what are the various kinds of duties that are required to be performed, right from when a vessel reaches a port for probably anchoring and staying put in the sheltered waters for a limited time, and then keeping up the anchor from the anchored position, and then approaching the port, approaching the berth, the mooring, unmooring and warping operations, and after that, when the hatches are opened up, how the cargo can be handled, either the commercial cargo or the ship's own cargo like stores and requirements to be picked up from the shore. And we also saw some of the deck machinery which are helping you to handle the life-saving, launching or heaving the appliances like a lifeboat. Thank you very much for your patience. Now if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask. Okay, thank you.